I need some help. I need some help. Does anybody have the number of the Illuminati? Does anybody know the phone number of whoever's in charge of all these events in 2020? Can you send them a text message and tell them to stop? A new threat taking down cruise ships here in 2020. A new threat, not the threat that we know, taking down cruise ships in 2020. And breaking news, one of the big three cruise lines calling it quits for March of 2021. And there's a couple other cruise news stories, all that and more on today's episode of the Cruise News Show. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cruise News Show. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise updates. Let's save the attack for the end, and I'll tell you the breaking news first. Breaking news, Norwegian Cruise Line finishes its cancellation dance for March of 2021. I call it a cancellation dance because they left us dangling. The band played on. We were still on the dance floor. There were still 3 cruise ships set to sail in March of 2021 for Norwegian Cruise Line. Well, today the other shoe has dropped and cruises on those 3 cruise ships have been canceled. The 3 cruise ships that still had cruises scheduled in March of 2021 for Norwegian was the Norwegian Encore, the Norwegian Escape, and the Norwegian Joy. All of their cruises have been canceled through March the 31st, 2021. Those affected by these cancellations will receive a 100% refund of their cruise fare. This will be returned to the payment method you used at the time of booking. If you booked with a future cruise credit, you will receive a 100% future cruise credit that you can use in the future. And the bonus that Norwegian's giving for cancellation is a 10% discount on your next Norwegian Cruise Line cruise. This discount will be attached to the latitude profile of the NCL cruiser. It will be there ready for you when you book your next cruise. It is good for cruises up until December the 31st, 2022. Significant, Norwegian Cruise Line, the first of the big 3 to pull the plug on March of 2021. I'm not 100% surprised. I'm somewhat anticipating Royal and Carnival to make similar announcements, but I thought we would get a couple weeks into 2021 before it happened. But I guess the silver lining is if you were somebody that had a cruise in March on one of these 3 cruise ships, at least you know the disposition of your cruise. And now your money's coming back sooner than a couple weeks from now. Norwegian Cruise Line, the first of the big 3, pulling the plug on March 2021. So that's bummer story number 1. I am going to try to sandwich some good news in between the not so great news. And I do want to do a clarification from yesterday's episode. In yesterday's episode, we talked about how the Port of Miami forgave $285 million of fees that the cruise lines owed the Port of Miami. These were docking and port fees. A lot of people astutely pointed out, well, the cruise ships haven't been docking in Miami, so how could the cruise lines owe these fees anyways? Well, here's the way it works. The cruise ports, the cruise lines, they come to these long-term agreements. So even before the pandemic, there was an agreement between the Port of Miami and the cruise lines that they would allow cruise lines to dock there, and the cruise lines committed to making payments on a yearly basis. So the cruise lines were contractually obligated to pay that $285 million regardless of whether their cruise ships were docked in Miami or not. And so the Port of Miami did a serious solid for the cruise lines by forgiving that debt. It's a move that's mutually beneficial. Port of Miami needs cruising to come back. They don't want to make it too burdensome for the cruise lines. And of course, it's beneficial for the cruise lines because they did not have to pay $285 million. Another quick clarification from yesterday's show. I was so happy to use the word benefactor over and over, but I used it incorrectly. I appreciate everybody pointing it out. The benefactor would be the one who provides the benefit. So in the Whales Got More Fun Time in the main channel in Glacier Bay story, the virus would have been the benefactor. It provided the benefit, and the whales would have been the beneficiary. Thanks to everybody that pointed that out. Thanks for the clarification. Now let's ride with a couple good cruise news story. It's about cruise ships returning to ports in the United States. Today we focus on ports on the West Coast. We focus on Los Angeles and San Diego. Last week, 4 Holland America ships made its way to the port of San Diego to get into the process to return to sailing. As you know, when the no-sail order was replaced by the conditional framework for sailing back in October 2020, the CDC provided a bunch of hoops for the cruise lines to jump through, and those hoops include getting your cruise ship back and filing an application to return to sailing and going through a lot of different things. And so the first step is to get the cruise ships back to port in the United States for Holland America ships returning to San Diego. And then just yesterday, we have cruise ships returning to the port of Los Angeles. Ships from Norwegian Cruise Line, Princess Cruise Lines, Holland America, making stops in the port of Los Angeles for refuel, for other technical issues. There have been 93 cruises canceled from the port of Miami in 2020, creating a financial loss of around $100 million at the waterfront area and up to $1 million for local businesses. Cruise ships returning to the port of Los Angeles, a good sign. Again, same thing as in San Diego. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things to see on our Facebook community. Pictures of cruise ships in port. We've seen pictures of cruise ships in Florida. We've seen pictures of cruise ships all over the country. Now looking forward to seeing pictures of cruise ships returning to California. It's got to happen. Cruise ships have to return to the United States to get into the process that the CDC has put in place for the return to sailing. And look, I'm probably playing up this good news, bad news a little too much today, to be completely honest. That's what the news is going to be like as we move into 2021. There's going to be days that have good news. There's going to be days that have bad news. And so we take it all with a grain of salt. But I do like the fact that we are getting some good news stories in there. And regardless whether the news is good or bad, I am going to give it to you. If you enjoy staying up to date on what's going on in cruising, if you're a fan of that cruise life, please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. Thanks in advance. Now let's talk about the new threat that is shutting down cruises in 2021. Cyber attacks. There have been a couple reported stories of cyber attacks in 2021, and honestly, I don't give it much play. Cyber attacks part of the current landscape of our life, but there's a new cyber attack that is literally shutting down cruises. This cyber attack occurring just before Christmas and attacking the AIDA Cruise Line. AIDA Cruise Line, part of the Carnival Corporation family. They have been sailing successfully in the Canary Islands. The Canary Islands are Spanish-controlled islands off the west coast of Africa. So if you know where Spain and Portugal is, you drop down south, you go a little bit west off the coast of Africa, you have the Canary Islands. AIDA Cruise Line, a German-based cruise line, have two ships in the Canary Islands. It is suspected that this attack is a ransomware attack. A ransomware attack is where a hacker infiltrates a computer network and renders that computer network useless. They do it for the purpose of extracting some sort of payment from the owner of the computer network, promising to restore the operations of the computer network once payment is received. This has hit AIDA hard. IT systems at the home office, IT systems on the cruise ships going down to the point where a cruise that was underway had to return back to its embarkation point, and cruises that were scheduled for December the 26th and December the 27th on the Perla and the Mar canceled. They can't get the hacker out of the network, and now cruising is shut down. Holy moly, man. Not like there's not enough that these cruise lines have to deal with. And this is just one of the cybersecurity attacks we've talked about in 2020. Back in August 2020, Carnival Corporation announcing that several of their brands had been compromised. And then just recently, Hurtigruten dealing with a suspected ransomware attack. Man, hackers kicking the cruise lines when they're down. 2020, man, give us a break. Let me leave you with a few questions about the news today. Were you on Norwegian? Did you get canceled? How do you feel about just getting the automatic refund? Are you excited about cruise ships coming back to California? And man, change your password. That's what I'm saying. Do something to protect your cybersecurity today. I try to change my password frequently. This might be a good day to do it. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. Please show your support by hitting the like button. I did do a video where I talked about some of the benefits of cruising in 2021, like why I think cruising might be better when it comes back. Check out that video there. And then also YouTube thinks that you'll love this video. So check it out. Thank you so much. Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.